The dead never really shut up. People think ghosts wail, scream, drag chains across the floor. Hollywood nonsense. The truth is worse. They whisper, low, constant, like water dripping in the pipes. You learn to live with it. Or you drink yourself to death trying not to hear it. Me, I don't drink. I listen. The construction site on 5th was supposed to be another faceless tower, another monument to greed scraping its way into the skyline. But the workers swore the walls were wrong. They said when the drills cut into the foundation, it sounded like the building itself screamed. Nobody believed them. Not until last night. I wasn't there, but I can still see it. The way trauma clings to a place, you pick it up like static when you walk by. Picture this. A man alone on the graveyard shift. Hard hat, coffee in hand, just trying to make rent. The site is dark, except for a few work lamps buzzing overhead. Rain taps the scaffolding like impatient fingers. Then he hears it. At first, he thinks it's the radio left on. A low hum, voices overlapping. But it's not music, syllables. Ancient. Wrong. They come from the walls. The man frowns, sets down his cup, presses his ear to the drywall. The whispering gets louder, closer, like dozens of mouths pressed against the other side, waiting. His hands tremble, grabs a hammer, tears open the wall, plaster falling around him. And there it is burned into the concrete underneath, blackened sigils, fresh as ink, glowing faintly with a heat that shouldn't exist. He stares, frozen. Voices stop. Silence. Then something pulls him, hard. His body slams against the wall, bones cracking. Screams echo through the site, but no one comes fast enough. The last thing he sees is the sigils lines twisting, opening like an eye blinking awake. And then the wall eats him whole. By the time the others find him, there's nothing left but a broken helmet and a smear of blood trailing into the concrete. And me. I hear about it the next morning, because death leaves stains. Some on bodies, some on buildings. And some, like this one, don't want to stay hidden. My name is Damian Cross, and tonight, I'm going to find out what's whispering in those walls. This is Storywise. Stories that pull you in. Worlds that won't let you go. The city doesn't waste time burying its sins. By the time I got to the site, half the place was already sealed off with yellow tape. Like caution tape could hold back the kind of thing I knew was lurking inside. Rain slicked the scaffolding, puddles forming on half-poured cement. Red and blue lights strobed against the unfinished steel beams, turning the site into a carnival of shadows. Cops huddled in the mud, whispering about what they'd seen. Some looked like they wanted to puke. The smart ones already had. And at the center of it, all Detective Eterna Reyes. She stood near the body bag, coat collar up, hair plastered to her face from the storm. She didn't flinch when I walked up, didn't smile either. Reyes doesn't waste facial expressions on people like me. Cross, she said flatly. Detective. I flicked my lighter open and shut, letting the flame dance for a heartbeat before snuffing it out. Heard one of your workers decided to redecorate the wall with his insides. Her eyes narrowed. You think this is funny? Nothing funny about it. I just like being right. Reyes crossed her arms. Witnesses said the wall pulled him in, like it swallowed him. She shook her head. I don't buy it. You wouldn't be calling me if you didn't. Her jaw tightened. She hated when I was right. The commissioner wants answers. I want the truth. If this is one of your things, then say it. Otherwise, I've got paperwork to bury this under. I crouched near the foundation, brushing mud from the concrete. My fingers traced the faint lines burned into the wall sigils, curling in black, like the concrete itself had been branded. The same symbol I saw in that boy's room, sigillum heredis, the mark of the air. My stomach turned. I stood slowly, brushing the dirt from my hand. Yeah, it's one of my things. Reyes exhaled through her nose, not relief, frustration. So what, ghosts? Demons? Possessed drywall? Call it whatever helps you sleep. But those marks aren't graffiti. They're ritual, and they're fresh. Her brow furrowed. Fresh, I nodded toward the sigils. Concrete doesn't burn itself from the inside. Someone's feeding this place. Someone who knows what they're doing. Eterna, she asked. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. We walked deeper into the site, boots sloshing in mud. The workers had cleared out, leaving only the echoes of their fear hanging in the air. Reyes finally broke the silence. "No, I hate calling you. Every time I do, my career dies a little more." "You're welcome," I muttered. "Don't flatter yourself." She shot me a look. "You bring nothing but trouble, Cross. One day it's going to catch up to you." "It already has," I said. She didn't ask what I meant. She never does. Some questions even Reyes is too smart to ask. We stopped at the place where the man had vanished. The wall had been patched over in a hurry, but you could still see the blood. A smear, half washed by rain, trailing upward into the concrete. Reyes rubbed her temple. "Tell me you can explain this." I leaned closer. The air vibrated faintly, like a low hum under the surface. My lighter flame trembled in the draft. I could hear it, the same whispers from last night. Dozens of voices layered together, chanting just beneath the surface. Words I didn't recognize. Words I didn't want to. I stepped back. "Yeah," I said quietly. "I can explain it." Reyes straightened, and I met her eyes. The wall's not a wall anymore, it's a mouth. And it's still hungry. After Reyes left me to do my thing, her words, not mine, the site went quiet. The cops pulled out. The lights dimmed. All that was left was the storm tapping against steel beams and the low hum of a generator, keeping a handful of work lamps alive. I stood alone, coat heavy with rain, lighter flicking between my fingers. The smell of wet concrete and copper filled the air. The kind of smell that always means something unnatural is bleeding through. Whispers carried on the wind. Soft at first, almost like the storm itself was mumbling. I took a step closer to the wall. It answered. The whispers sharpened into words, layered in dozens of voices, male and female, old and young. I couldn't understand the language, but I knew the rhythm ritual, repetition, invocation. The wall vibrated under my palm, pulsing like a heartbeat. My lighter's flame stretched unnaturally long, bending toward the sigils. Then the hum grew louder. Tools rattled on the ground. A steel beam groaned overhead, bolts shaking loose. I stepped back instinctively. "Not tonight," I muttered, drawing a chalk circle on the ground. Sigils of my own, etched quick and messy. A half-broken shield, but better than nothing. The voices hissed in unison, and then something moved. The concrete bulged, as if the wall itself was breathing. Cracks spidered across the surface, bleeding black ichor that dripped into the mud. Shapes writhed beneath, pressing outwards fingers, arms, faces pushing against the thin veil of stone. One face forced itself forward, eyeless, mouth wide open in a silent scream. I staggered back, heart hammering, and then it lunged. Hands shot from the concrete, clawing for me, cold, rough, stronger than they had any right to be. They caught my arm, dragging me forward with inhuman force. My boots skidded in the mud, circle breaking beneath me. The sigils flared in response, branding into my skin with a searing burn. I screamed. The pain was electric, sharp, like molten iron carving into my veins. The whispers roared in my skull, laughter layered with screams, all chanting in a tongue that didn't belong to this world. I tore free, falling hard onto my back. My lighter skidded across the mud, sputtering out. For a second, all I had was the dark. Then the whispers stopped, just like that silence. The wall was smooth again, lifeless, as though nothing had happened. No faces, no cracks, no hands, just cold, wet concrete. I sat there, panting, clutching my arm. The burn still sizzled beneath my sleeve. When I rolled it up, my blood ran cold. Fresh mark had carved itself into my skin. Not random scratches, not scars. The same sigil. Sigillum Heredis. Only this time it wasn't on the wall. It was on me. I staggered to my feet, sweat stinging my eyes despite the rain. My hands shook as I retrieved my lighter, sparking it back to life. The flame trembled, but it was enough. I stared at the wall one last time. I realized something that made my stomach twist. The wall hadn't been trying to kill me. It had been trying to claim me. By the time I got to Maya's, the rain had soaked me to the bone. My arm still throbbed, skin blistering beneath my sleeve. I didn't bother knocking. Her apartment was the same as always, books stacked in uneven towers. Candles half burned on every surface, herbs drying from the ceiling like a witch's kitchen. A cat hissed at me from the couch. Maya looked up from a desk cluttered with parchment and glass vials, her dark eyes narrowing when she saw me. "You look like hell," she said. "Hell's where I've been." I peeled my sleeve back, showing her the fresh mark. The change in her face was instant. All color drained, replaced by a fear she tried and failed to hide. "Damian?" she whispered, stepping closer. Her fingers hovered just above my skin, like touching it might burn her too. "Where did this come from?" "Construction site on 5th. Wall decided it didn't like me." She shot me a sharp look. "Don't joke, I'm not." Maya grabbed a magnifying glass, leaning in. Her lips moved silently as she traced the lines of the sigil, comparing it to the open tomes on her desk. Pages filled with diagrams, demonic seals, handwritten translations. Finally, she pulled back, eyes wide. "This isn't just a mark, Damian. It's a claim. I figured as much, though you don't understand. Sigillum Heredis isn't a brand. It's a binding. It's the one who bears it becomes. Tethered. You're not just marked. You're a vessel." Her words landed like ice water down my spine. A vessel for what? Her hesitation said enough. "For whoever the heir is," she murmured. "They're choosing you, preparing you." A burn on my arm pulsed, like it agreed with her. I forced a laugh, but it came out hollow. "That's cute. Demons shopping for a new landlord." Maya grabbed my wrist, squeezing hard. Her voice dropped low, urgent. "This isn't a joke, Damian. If you keep stepping into these places, if you keep letting this thing near you, you won't just fight demons anymore." She looked me dead in the eye. "You'll host one." The room was quiet, except for the soft drip of rain against the windows. I pulled my arm back, tugging my sleeve down to cover the mark. Then I guess I better not lose. Maya's face twisted with anger, with fear, maybe both. "Damian, you think you're the hunter, but you're not. Not this time. You're the prize." I lit a cigarette, letting the flame dance against my fingers. The sigil on my arm burned in response, glowing faintly beneath the skin. I exhaled smoke, forcing the words past the knot in my throat. "Then let them come collect." I should have gone home, should have listened to Maya, wrapped my arm, poured a drink, and tried to forget the whispers that were still rattling around my skull. But I've never been good at leaving things alone. That's how I ended up back at the construction site just past midnight, crouched in the shadows of a rusted dumpster, rain dripping down my collar. The place should have been deserted, but it wasn't. Black vans lined the edge of the site, engines idling low. Men in dark uniforms moved with practiced precision, hauling out crates stamped with the Eterna Corp. Logo, no lights, no chatter, just the quiet efficiency of people who'd done this before. I lit my lighter, cupping the flame so it wouldn't betray me. Through the smoke, I caught sight of what they were hauling. Not tools, not debris. Concrete slabs, chunks of wall, carved out with the sigils still burned into them. The slabs were humming, low, pulsing, like heartbeats trapped in stone. Every man who carried one flinched at the contact, as though the stone itself bit into their palms. But they didn't stop. They loaded each crate carefully, locking them down with steel restraints. Not destroying, not cleansing, preserving. I crouched lower, heart hammering. My fingers twitched toward the flask of holy water at my belt, but it would have been useless. There were too many. And this wasn't just scavenging, it was an operation, and operations meant orders. A figure emerged from the van. Tall, sharp suit, silver umbrella, shielding him from the storm. His face was pale. Too pale, like the moon had leached all the color out of him, carried no crates, touched nothing, he just watched. When one of the men stumbled beneath the weight of the humming stone, the suited figure turned his head, and the worker straightened instantly as if yanked upright by an invisible wire. My stomach dropped. That wasn't authority. That was control. The man in the suit glanced toward the shadows, toward me. My breath caught, killed the lighter instantly, melting deeper into the dark. A long moment, the figure stood still, umbrella tilted, his pale face expressionless. Then slowly, almost deliberately, he smiled. Not like he saw me, like he knew me. The vans filled, doors slammed shut, and engines growled to life. Within minutes, the site was empty again. stepped out from my hiding place, shaking, rain plastering my hair to my face. My arm burned beneath my sleeve, the sigil glowing faintly, in rhythm with the memory of those stones. Whoever that man was, he'd felt me there, and he hadn't stopped me, because he didn't need to. I stared at the muddy ground where the vans had been, the sound of whispers still buzzing faintly in my ears. Eterna Corp wasn't building towers. They were building something else, whatever it was. They were feeding it. I didn't go back to Maya's. Didn't check in with Reyes. Didn't even bother to dry off. I just went home. My apartment was the same as always. Dim, cluttered, a graveyard of cigarette butts and books stacked like barricades. The kind of place where silence used to be my only friend. But tonight, silence had teeth. I locked the door, peeled off my soaked coat, and collapsed into the chair by the window. The city stretched out beyond the glass, neon bleeding through the rain. I lit a cigarette, inhaled deep, let the smoke burn its way down. For a while, the only sound was the rain, steady, comforting. Then it started, soft, barely there, whispers, not outside, not on the walls. Inside at first I thought it was the neighbors, the pipes. Anything but what I knew it was. But the longer I sat, the clearer it became. They weren't whispers anymore, they were voices. And they were saying my name, Damian. The cigarette trembled between my fingers. Sweat prickled the back of my neck, though the room was cold. I stood, scanning the shadows. Nothing moved, nothing stirred. But the voices swelled, layered and overlapping. Hundreds of them, pressing into my skull like fingers digging into clay. Damian Cross, chosen heir. My knees buckled, slammed a fist against the wall, shouting, "Shut up!" For a second, silence. Blessed silence. Then, from the corner of the room, a laugh. Low, cruel, familiar. I turned, heart in my throat. And there, reflected faintly in the rain-streaked window, stood a figure. Tall, pale, umbrella in hand. Smiling, I spun around. No one was there, but the reflection remained. Still smiling, still watching. And the whispers rose again, deafening. A chorus echoing from every shadow, every breath, every beat of my heart. We are coming. And the lights flickered. The flame of my lighter burst on its own, flaring high, then snuffed out. And in the dark, with smoke curling in my lungs and whispers gnawing at my skull, I understood something. This wasn't just a case. It was the beginning, and whatever was coming, it had already found me.